Hello and welcome back to the Journey Beyond Yourself Summit. Today we have the one and only Brad Yates. Welcome, Brad.
Thank you, Sally. Happy to be here.
Wonderful to have you here. I'm just going to introduce you, Brad, because I know you as the superstar of the EFT and more world. But for those who don't know Brad Yates is known internationally for his creative and often humorous, we've just been having a little giggle here, use of EFT, the emotional freedom technique. Brad is talented in many ways. So I know you've had an interesting and varied career before you found EFT, one of which was a cartoonist, which then led you to illustrating your children's book, The Wizard's Wish, which is brilliant. And then you've written Freedom at Your Fingertips. You've been a featured expert in the film The Tapping Solution. And you've also been a presenter at a number of huge high-profile events, including Jack Canfield's Breakthrough to Success. You've done teleseminars with the Secret Stars, Bobby Doyle and Dr. Joe Vitale. And you've been heard internationally on a number of radio talk shows, TV shows all over, and now the Journey Beyond Summit. So we're honored. You have over 1,000 videos on YouTube featuring different ways to use EFT that have been viewed over 32 million times, which is incredible. So welcome, Brad. You're a very busy man and we're honored that you've chosen to spend some time with us today. So thank you and welcome.
Where else would I be, Sally? How would I miss this?
Bless you. So, Brad, we're going to start at the beginning. But I have two beginnings I want to start at, so I'm going to let you choose how you flow with this. But my two questions that I want to get started with are, what on earth is EFT? For those who don't know, give us a brief synopsis of what it is. And I always love, where did it come from? What's the background of it? And then, how on earth did you go from actor to clown, and I mean that in the nicest way, to cartoonist, to hypnotherapist, to EFT YouTube superstar?
How does a grown man find himself tapping on his face for a living?
Even better said.
I've been working on it for a while. Well, let's start with what the tapping thing is. So for those of you who are new to tapping or emotional freedom techniques, EFT, it is literally a process of tapping with our fingertips on different places, primarily on our face and torso. And if you are new to this, I know that might sound a little strange. It's like, I came here to get beyond myself and you want me to tap on my face? There's a really good reason why we do it. So tapping is based on acupuncture originally. So for thousands of years in Chinese medicine, they've said there's a flow of energy through the body along these pathways that are called meridians. And when this energy is flowing naturally, we experience our natural state of health and well-being physically and emotionally. When this energy gets stuck, we don't feel so good. We experience different types of discomfort physically and emotionally. And when we don't feel good, we don't think as clearly, we don't make the best choices, and that has all kinds of unfortunate consequences for our lives. So in traditional acupuncture, the doctor would stick needles in these key points, and we're just using our fingertips to stimulate these same points by tapping. And it's primarily a stress reduction tool. So we have all kinds of scientific research now validating tapping as a quick and effective form of stress reduction. And when you consider that stress is at the cause of or worsens most, if not all, of the things that bother us, then you can see why tapping is so effective in so many areas of our lives, particularly when we're looking at going beyond ourselves, because there's a part of us that says, ooh, going beyond where I'm at, that's so exciting. And then we wonder why we're not getting there. It's because the 10% of our conscious mind is saying, that's so exciting. The other 90% says, no, we're good where we are. And when we try to challenge that, we experience a stress response. There's a part of us that says, that's scary. And we shut ourselves down and we get ourselves distracted. We find all kinds of little things to stop ourselves from making those changes, to go beyond where we're at. And if only we had a simple tool for down-regulating that stress. So we calm ourselves down, that we calm down that fight or flight response. And then we have the freedom to make different choices, to think different thoughts, and to take different actions.
That is a brilliant synopsis. Thank you so much. So we're challenging the resistance that we have to change. I love that. And ultimately, it's a down-regulating tool to reduce our stress, which, as we know, is the cause of many, many, many physical and mental conditions. So yeah, brilliant. Thank you. So how did you end up here?
I was in such desperate need of something to... So like I said, I have a very eclectic resume. So I started out as an actor, and I had toured the world doing theater. I toured to Australia. I performed in Bendigo. And after a couple of years of doing the touring theater, I thought it's time for me to go to Hollywood and be a movie star, as one does.
From Bendigo to Hollywood.
Exactly. Now that I've done Bendigo, there's nothing left for me to do in theater, so I've got to go and do movies now. And so got to Hollywood, and while I was there, among the many things I did, as you mentioned, the clown, you can see my diploma back there of Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey Clown College. Amazing. Just one of those things that one does, when they've got spare time on their hands. And but I also met a woman, fell in love, and got married. And when our first child was on the way, I thought, I should probably have a backup career. So among all the careers that I could have, many of which would have a steady paycheck, I decided to go into business for myself and become a hypnotherapist, because I'd always been fascinated with the power of the mind. And my trained actor voice was really good for hypnotherapy.
It would be, yes.
And when my audience fell asleep, it was a good thing. So I started doing that and building a hypnotherapy practice while also working on my acting career. And then a couple of years later, when our second child was on the way, I realized that as much as I loved acting, doing personal development work was really what I felt called to do. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm here for. And so we left Hollywood, moved to Northern California, and through some other hypnotherapists, I found out about this energy psychology conference where they were teaching EFT. And I thought, well, that sounds interesting. Let me go try it. Mm-hmm. And like I said, for those of you who are new to tapping, it might look a little strange at first. Now, remember, I'd already gone to clown college. So looking strange was not a big issue. So I took this course and just fell in love with it and started training in it. And little by little, my hypnotherapy practice turned into a tapping practice.
Yeah. And I can only imagine the reason that happened was because you saw the benefits of it with your clients. So tell us a little bit about, and I know you've had thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of clients, but what conditions is it effective for, and who do you see that comes into you and really responds to this strange modality, stress relief?
The tag phrase for EFT is try it on everything. Because since stress causes so many issues, we find it beneficial in so many areas of life. People use it for physical issues. They use it for emotional distress, whether it's just feeling stressed out, feeling really angry, feeling really sad, depressed, guilty. The main thing that comes up for most people is feelings of not being worthy. And that may be just a general sense of, wow, I just feel really miserable because I don't feel worthy. Or it may be, I'm trying to achieve this goal, I'm trying to have more success, but there's a feeling that comes up about not being worthy. So it may not be an ongoing emotional distress, but it certainly comes up as a block to achieving greater success in their lives.
Yeah, it's a core underneath what they present with, perhaps, that you can get down to. And do you find that somebody will present with an issue and you'll tap away at that layer, and then there's something underneath and you'll tap away at that layer, and eventually you'll get to the core issue?
Yeah, it's when we're tapping, we often say it's like peeling the layers of an onion.
Yeah.
Because we'll be tapping along and it's like, I'm so angry at Bob. Bob really pissed me off. All this anger at Bob, all this. It's not even Bob, it's Sally. So funny. These are the names that I use every time I do that demonstration. And this is the first time I've talked to someone named Sally while I'm saying that. So sorry, it wasn't personal.
Oh, well, that makes me feel better.
So yeah, we uncovered, I was working with this guy once who, he must have been late 60s, early 70s. And we were tapping on an issue, and it's like every single point, it's, oh no, it's this thing that happened here. Yeah, this really, oh no, it was this thing that happened 5 years before that. And oh, it's this thing that happened when I was 2 years old. And just the layers were just flying off of that onion.
Right. So as you're talking about it there, it sounds like you're tapping and you're talking whilst you're tapping. But my experience of EFT has been so far, but this can't be completely right because you've got thousands and thousands of different videos, that there's a protocol and you say something particular that changes as you're tapping. So how much kind of fluidity is there? How much can you just be almost going through your hypnotherapy or your counseling skills and tapping? And how much is a protocol that words that go with the movement?
Well, the answer to that depends on who you're talking to.
Right.
Because there are people who will say, it needs to be this. You identify what the problem is. I'm really angry at Bob. On a scale of 0 to 10, how angry am I? It's an 8. Where do I feel it in my body? Oh, my shoulders are tense. This anger, even though I have this anger at Bob, I choose to love and accept myself. This anger at Bob, this anger at Bob. And you say the same thing on each point, which is awesome. That's EFT in a nutshell. That's the very basics. And it makes it simple so that anyone who's learning this process can just try it out. And actually, because we're down regulating stress, if we're already feeling what's going on, we don't even have to say the words. It helps to keep us focused on the issue so we don't just get distracted. We want to make sure that we're cleaning up. It's like if you are mopping your floor and you've spilled some milk on the floor, and you might say milk, so that you focus on where the milk is. Because if you don't, then you might start moving around the kitchen, and then you're in another part of the kitchen and going, oh, the floor's clean. And then you turn around and the milk is still there. So it helps to keep us focused. But generally, in a moment of emotional distress, just the tapping alone is going to help us feel better, regardless of what we say.
So that makes perfect sense, because if it's a tool that works on acupressure points to down-regulate the stress response, the fight or flight response, that would make sense that just the physical aspect is going to do that. And it makes perfect sense that we need to keep our attention. We don't want to be, if you're trying to get rid of something specific and you're tapping away, but you're thinking about your shopping list, the physical thing is gonna reduce your stress, down regulate you, but still you may be not getting into the core issues around, you're not going to go much deeper, are you, other than to make yourself feel more relaxed.
Right. And you'll become more aware of what it is, so that, as I'm tapping through this anger at Bob, I might realize, oh, it's not even anger at Bob. It's I'm angry about something that happened when I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
And then I can refocus the tapping on that.
Yeah.
So the way that I work, and it's not the right way, it's not the wrong, it's just a different way. And because we all of us and different people use different points sometimes. But I like to do this exploratory process where I'm just using intuition to think about what could be behind this. What other layers of the onion might there be? And it's just kind of a matter of leaving no stone unturned.
Yeah.
And saying, well, maybe it was this, and maybe I have programming that tells me this, so that we go around and we look and explore what might be underneath this, as opposed to just waiting for the layer to peel and then trying to come up with the next one. There's a connection that happens when I'm working with someone, and even when I'm doing videos, I just feel connected to whoever is out there. And I'm just going through it. It's like, okay, I'm going to trust the process and I'll just see what comes up. I never know in my videos what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Sometimes all I know is one word that's going to be in the title. It's like,
wow,
anxiety. Okay, I'm going to do a video about anxiety. Let's see what happens, even though I have this anxiety. And then it goes to wherever it needs to go. And it'll be right for some people and not quite right for others. But the great thing about tapping is there's a phenomenon we call borrowing benefits. that you can be tapping along with somebody else on their issue and you'll still get benefit because your mind will make associations and will be clearing out whatever stress is there anyway.
Yeah. 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 I love that. And I love that that's how you work, because it allows you to be fluid and creative and, you know, listen to your intuition and the intelligence of that, which we've covered earlier in the summit with the heart intelligence and, you know, the higher intelligence. So it would make sense that you remain open and flexible to go where you need to go. So, of course, you know me, Brad, I just want to get stuck in and say, show us how this works, Brad. But I do want to ask you, before we do that, because so far this is theory and it's awesome, but I'd love it if you could give us some kind of case examples that you've worked with that stick out in your mind of someone that came in where EFT, you know, the stories that you think about, that you know that this is the tool that has these benefits and works quickly and effectively. Can you give us some stories?
No, there's no stories.
If I throw you some things to juggle, can you do it?
Yeah, exactly. Just no chainsaws. There are a couple of stories that I generally use because they're such great examples. There was a woman who had some really upsetting event that had happened 20 years earlier, and every time she thought about it, felt emotional distress. And in a matter of minutes, she was able to just say, yeah, whatever. I mean, actually, there's actually multiple people who've had that. There's that one that I've often used as an example, but multiple times where we take something that happened that was upsetting and has been upsetting for decades, that at the end, the person is just saying, it's like it happened to somebody else. It's like watching a movie now, but I don't feel it. I've had people with money issues and feeling money blocks. I had a woman who ran her own business, and she said during one of our sessions, she said, yeah, my staff will have said to me at times, you know, when you do a session with Brad, we all seem to make more money. So it's about time to book another session.
Awesome.
For me, you mentioned my children's book earlier. I had a huge block to illustrating that book. I wrote the story, and then 2 years later, I hadn't illustrated it. And because I'm a cartoonist, my mom would have killed me if I'd hired somebody else to illustrate it. But I just felt this huge block. And so finally, it's like, you know, I could do some tapping on that. But we often don't see our own stuff. So I got together with a friend of mine who's an expert, and she did a session with me. And the next week, so I going through the story, I'm thinking there's about 18 drawings that I need to do. And, I'm a cartoonist. I pretty simplistic drawings. These are not, it's not the Sistine Chapel. But still, in my mind, it's like 18 pictures. Oh, when am I going to find the time to do that? It's going to be, and I'm not going to get them right. And I did the session with my friend, and the next week, over the course of the next week, I did 40 drawings.
Wow.
So it's like, wow, these blocks that we have where something seems so difficult and even impossible, and through the tapping, clear out those blocks, and what's possible is far beyond what we thought we could do.
Yeah, I love that example. Thank you for that, because and also what you've just said illustrates the point that tapping, it's not just for mental issues, emotional issues, it's also for physical issues, but also things like making more money and having the career you want to have and getting those things done that you wanted to get done, because it's working on the resistance that we put onto ourselves that presents as a reason to not do something or step forward. And I just think it's super relevant for this summit, because this summit's all about helping people wherever their ceiling is of their limit, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, they can't get past it. It's removing that resistance so that they can get to the next level. And I just think tapping fits in so well with this, because this is essentially what you do, right? You get people over whatever it is stopping them from moving forward in their life full stop, whether that's emotional, spiritual, physical, financial, family, relationship, the list goes on.
Whatever, because we're capable of so much.
Yes.
And almost all of it is a safety issue.
Yes.
There's something that says that next level is not safe for me. I'm making as much, So here's the thing for everybody. Wherever you're at with any area of your life, you are 100% successful right now, according to part of your mind.
Uh-huh.
You are successfully making the exact right amount of money for what you believe you can handle. You are as healthy as you believe it is safe for you to be. Your relationships are exactly, or lack thereof, are exactly what feels safe.
Yeah.
And there's this part of our mind that is like a chess grandmaster that's thinking 50 moves ahead. And if we're not moving ahead, that's because that grandmaster, every move that they're making, every time it's thinking, I'm going to get checkmated. I'm going to lose this match. So like if one of the examples I use is if you are single and you've been wanting to be in a relationship and you are in the grocery store and you see this attractive stranger and you think somewhere in your mind, it's like, hey, that person's cute. I could go up and say hi. They might say hi back. We might start up a conversation. We might find that we actually have a few things in common. We might decide to go on a date. We meet for coffee. Coffee leads to dinner. Dinner leads to another date. And then
I have to stop you there. This is a PG rated summit.
I wasn't going there. Everything I do is PG, Sally. But there's that part that goes, and then we're going to get married, and then they're going to divorce me, and I'll be heartbroken just like I was, just like my parents were. And so our mind then says, oh, look, there's a sale on aisle 2 before we're even consciously aware of that person.
Yes.
We've played out that entire scenario that ends in heartache, and we've told ourselves to go down aisle 2. And then we're over in aisle 2, looking at the sale items and thinking, why don't I ever meet any nice people?
Yeah, that's a great example. Yeah. Yeah. And that can all happen without us being consciously aware that
like
that's
that.
happened.
Chess grandmaster. It's happening so fast and so quickly, and no one sees it happening, and we don't consciously see it.
Yeah.
And we're just left wondering, why am I at where I'm at? And then we get frustrated with ourselves.
Yes.
And it's, which is brilliant, because being frustrated with myself, as long as I'm frustrated with myself, that stops me from taking action. It's like, oh, I'll go out and meet somebody, but first I have to beat myself up about being single.
Yeah. And in that example, we possibly would be going around saying, I never see anybody I'm interested in. I never meet anybody I'm interested in, because literally your brain has gone, la, 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 don't look over there, don't go over there, stay in aisle 2. Yeah.
Or, as has been the case with a lot of people I've worked with, we only see the people that turn out to be jerks, or are already married, or are otherwise unavailable. Yeah. Because anybody that I could actually get into a real relationship with, don't see them. Yeah. Don't see them. Yeah. Oh, red flags. Hi, how you doing? Yeah. You're going to break my heart like everybody else does. And so that's familiar. Yes. And our brain likes what's familiar, even if it sucks. Even if our lives are crap, it's our crap. We know where it goes. We dealt with it yesterday. We know we can handle it. Yeah. And then we can reassure ourselves of who we think we are, because that's exactly what happened and we knew it would. So we were right all along. We love to be right. We would rather be happy than right. And so we make this decision at some point in our lives, something happens and we decide, this is what I deserve. This is what always happens to me. I'm not smart enough. I'm not lovable. I never make enough money, whatever it is. And because we are powerful manifestors and we are geniuses, we then create a world that keeps saying, see, you were right. You were right. You were right. Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. We are brilliant. So let's get back to the fact that we are so brilliant that some part of our mind thinks we are 100% successful, but we know that we can be successful again 100% at a different level, at a higher level. So let's get into the nitty-gritty, Brad. Absolutely. Show us how we do this tapping thing that's going to change our lives for the better. Absolutely. So what I'll ask everyone to do first is close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and hold it. And let it go. And just breathing comfortably with your eyes closed, go ahead and allow yourself to feel present, centered, and grounded. Allowing yourself to be as present as possible so as to receive maximum benefit from this. Just following your breath through your body, just allow yourself to be aware of what you feel physically and what you feel emotionally. And now I want you to think about what it is that you would like to achieve. What does going beyond yourself mean to you? Is it a personal issue? Is it a professional issue? Is it a physical issue? Is it a financial issue? Think about something that you have been saying, wow, if I could do anything, I would do this. If I would love to have this in my life. But it just doesn't seem to be showing up. Or you just don't seem to be doing what it would take to get there. So allow yourself to imagine that you've already achieved this, you have this, and say, it's safe for me to have this. And just let that rattle around inside. And notice on a scale of 0 to 10 how safe it feels. And if part of you says, oh, it's a 10, I'm going to tell you to check again. Because if you don't have it, chances are there's a part of you that feels it's not safe, that's resisting it. Allow yourself to be aware of what thoughts, beliefs, or memories might come up as to why you couldn't or shouldn't have this, as to why it might not be safe for you to have it. What's the possible danger? How might you be hurt? What would other people think? How would other people be critical or judgmental? Don't worry about thinking, oh, I shouldn't focus on those things, because part of your mind is already there. So it's just allowing yourself to be aware of what are those unconscious thoughts that come up that stop you from going beyond where you're at right now. Notice in your body, notice on a scale of 0 to 10 how strong that resistance might be. Take a deep breath. Open your eyes. I've done this with so many people, and they say, I really want this, I really want that. I've gone to all the seminars, I've read all the books, and I'm just not making the amount of money I want. Close your eyes. Imagine having the amount of money you want. Say it's safe. Scale is 0 to 10. How safe is it? Oh, it's a 2. Bingo. If you had a small child and that child wanted to go play on a play set, and you're looking at this rusty old play set, and you say, on a scale of 0 to 10, how safe is that play set? It's a 2. Are you going to let your kid go play on that thing? Hopefully the answer is no. That's the correct answer is no. So recognizing, okay, this is why I've brilliantly stopped myself. Now, let's reconsider that. So tap on the side of your hand. Even though I feel this resistance, I choose to love and accept myself. Even though I feel this resistance, I choose to love and honor myself. Even though I feel this resistance, all this resistance to going beyond where I'm at. And part of me says, I have no resistance. I would be so excited to go beyond where I'm at. Personally or professionally, physically or financially. I would love to be, do, and have more. And I'm doing everything I possibly can to make that happen. And if I know I'm kidding about that, that's because I have some resistance that stops me from doing all that I can. And even though I have this resistance, I choose to deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself. And maybe anybody else who contributes to this resistance. All this resistance all this resistance to going beyond where I'm at. Part of me is excited by the idea. And part of me says, I'm fine right where I'm at. Let's not mess with the status quo. So when I have ideas about what I'd like to achieve and what I could do to get there, it's about 4 inches below the armpit. Part of me freaks out a little bit. I have a little bit of a stress response, or maybe a major stress response. And I stop myself from taking action. And sometimes I'm not even consciously aware of it. I find myself at the end of the day finishing a 5-hour binge watching episode. And thinking, didn't I have a great idea this morning? Because I've brilliantly avoided that. And all the consequences that I'm afraid of. So what am I afraid of? If I allowed myself to have this goal, if I allowed myself to take action, how am I afraid that I'll get hurt? Do I think I'll physically get hurt? Or is it just my ego that's going to get bruised? And maybe people will be jealous of me if I have success. And that is so uncomfortable. So is it really worth the effort? Even though I was excited about this idea, I don't want to make anybody else jealous. I don't want anybody else to feel uncomfortable. So I will sacrifice my dreams so that they don't feel uncomfortable. I'm just so noble that way. And I'm just afraid of people not liking me. All these fears about all the possible negative consequences if I were to take action towards my goals. So I choose to love and appreciate those parts of me that have been stopping me. It's not because I'm bad or stupid. It's not because I'm weak or lazy. It's because I have old programming telling me why it's not safe to take action. Why it's not okay to have these goals. All these old reasons why I should stay right where I am. Here's the line in the sand, and I should not go beyond that. All this resistance to going beyond. I choose to recognize that self-sabotage is misguided self-love. Because I know I do things to sabotage my success. And then I beat myself up for that. And that's brilliant. I only sabotage my success because part of me is convinced it's necessary to protect me. And the more time I spend beating up on myself, the less time I have to pursue my goals. I am a freaking genius. So I choose to be much more loving towards myself as I take a look at these things I'm afraid of. As I take a look at things that have happened in the past that have somehow convinced me that it's not safe to move forward. Maybe I've been successful and someone got angry at me. Or maybe somebody told me that I wasn't good enough. And I'm only kidding myself thinking I could succeed. And I really shouldn't embarrass myself. All these reasons why I should stay stuck. And I'm clearing the stress behind them. And I'm allowing myself to recognize they're all misunderstandings. I'm a magnificent child of the universe, worthy and deserving of the best this world has to offer. I have this line in the sand, and I'm afraid that I shouldn't go beyond it. As far as the universe is concerned, there is no line. I can't go too far. I've experienced some beautiful things in my life. Maybe it's seeing the stars at night, or a sunset over the ocean, a smile on a child's face. How could I possibly think I'm not deserving? The universe has told me over and over that I'm worthy and deserving of great things. And I can handle having them. And when I take action, there is always some risk. And I can handle what happens. Because I have handled everything that has happened in my life. All of the worst things that have ever happened in my life. And all of the awesome things. I have handled all of it. Maybe not always as gracefully as I would have liked. But I still handled it. The proof being that I am still here. So I'm worthy and deserving of having more faith in myself. And giving myself more freedom to move beyond where I thought I had to stay. And then I'll move beyond that. So much is possible for me. I'm giving myself the freedom to explore what's possible. Remembering that nothing is too good for me. So I'm setting myself free to move beyond. In body, mind, and spirit. And take a deep breath. Close your eyes and go ahead and imagine that goal again. Imagine having it and say, it's safe for me to have this. And just notice where there might have been resistance before and see what that feels like now. And hopefully that feels a lot more relaxed. You feel more openness. And go ahead and take a deep breath and open your eyes. And so, Sally, we didn't even talk about your shoulder, but I want you to just see if there's any shift.
Yeah, there is.
So when it happens so often, because the mind and body are connected. And so there are times where I'm working with somebody on a physical issue, they feel some tension someplace, and they'll say, oh, and you know what? That feels better. And there was this emotional thing that was bothering me, and that feels fine now. Or vice versa. And in fact, it happened this morning. I was on a call this morning where somebody, we were tapping on some emotional issue. And at the end, she said, and I didn't even mention this to you, but my shoulders were feeling tight and they're so relaxed right now. So it works in all kinds of different ways.
Yeah, and that was awesome, Brad. That was awesome for everybody and for the relevance to this summit, but also for me. I'll give the backstory there. We were talking before, and I was saying, I don't really have anything that, we should do an example, Brad, but I guess it would be useful if I had something to work, and I can't really think of anything. Oh, I've got a frozen shoulder at the moment. Maybe we could work on that. So that was the backstory to that. And I'm going to test that out, Brad, after this, I'm off to play koalas with the kids again and see if I can do that rope swing a bit better than I could yesterday. But that was wonderful. And that's gonna, I know, help everybody watching this to move forward and up and past their limitations. That was absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Oh, and I love the way you flow with your practice, and talk around it and just flow into it. And you also made it really easy for the points. I remember years and years ago, doing the training in EFT, and there was documents and manuscripts about where the specific points were and what you said. This is so much easier and nicer and more flowy. So thank you, Brad.
My pleasure. I always want to make it as accessible as possible.
Yeah.
And then you can, if you want to delve in deeper and learn about the exact points and certain things about that, that's always, there's always opportunities for that.
Well, there is, and we certainly know where to find you. Of course, I'm going to link all your links under this video. And as we said at the beginning, you have millions and millions of views every day. And you're just this amazing creator of content. We were talking earlier about where you get the ideas from, and they just flow. And I guess as times change, people present with different nuances of issues that you can tap for. And now we've seen you in action. You can see that you kind of have this natural talent to bring things together and cut through to the core. So there's a whole resource of free videos of yours on YouTube. And I know you also then do tours around the world. So when you get back, when we start to let people back in, can't wait to see you back in Australia over here.
That was the last place I was supposed to be, and last year, and didn't happen, but very much looking forward to it. I love being down under.
Yeah, well, we look forward to seeing you down here. But in the meantime, you can be found around the world soon on YouTube now, and I'll drop all your contents of your website because I know you do online courses and in live sessions and things too. So I want to really thank you and honor your time, Brad, and thank you so much for being with us and giving us those tools, because I'm sure that you've helped everyone that's watched this. If you just go through the process with Brad, you'll feel something shift. So thank you, Brad.
Oh, my pleasure, Sally. Thank you so much for what you do. And thank you for this opportunity to share this work. And thank you to everyone who is willing to go ahead and tap on your face, because as you set yourself free to go beyond where you've been, that's going to benefit the world at large. It's going to have positive benefits for your life and for so many other people. And I greatly appreciate you being willing to do that.
Yeah, wonderfully said. Wonderfully said. Well, thank you, Brad. It's always a pleasure and an honor. You take care and speak soon. Bye now.